Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Spotlight. Today, I will be covering what an OPRA is and about how to get an OPRA request, what's important about getting an OPRA, things like that. And we're going to go through a little bit of a presentation to show you guys the importance of getting an OPRA. For starters, who can tell me what an OPRA is? What is an OPRA request? Anyone? It's okay if you don't know, because I'm
Open
going to
permits
explain it.
on homes?
I'm sorry?
Open permits on homes?
Yes, open permits on homes is part of it. It's Open Public Record Act, which is a New Jersey thing. So we'll get started. Well, not just a New Jersey thing, but we'll get started on all that stuff. So, uh, next screen over. Let me just flip this over so I can see what's going on. So, what is an OPRA? OPRA stands for, ooh, wrong button. Getting ahead of ourselves. We got two to let it in. Okay. So OPRA stands for the Open Public Record Act. This is in the way. Can't read. New Jersey state law that gives the public the right to access government records. Under OPRA, any person can submit a formal request to a government agency to obtain copies of public documents, data, and other records maintained by that agency. Okay. So in this reference, we're talking about the county clerk's office and getting permits from your sellers, right? For things that they have done to the home, things like that. And you want to make sure that you're getting these things. So, key things to know, it applies to government records. OPRA covers documents held by state, county, and municipal agencies, not private businesses. Formal written requests must be submitted in writing using the official OPRA request form provided by the agency, and they have a 7-day response time. Agency is required to respond within 7 days, though extensions may be granted. Okay, so why should you care about an OPRA, right? What is the importance of it? Well, it verifies property facts. An OPRA request allows agents to access essential public records, ensuring that property facts are accurate and up to date, which helps maintain transparency during transactions. They also help you prepare accurate listings. By obtaining vital information through OPRA, agents can prepare listings that reflect the true condition of properties, ultimately reducing misunderstandings and enhancing buyer trust. So, what is this talking about? This is talking about you have a client, they're telling you, oh, we redid our roof, we redid our water heater, we did our electric panel, anything that you can think of that requires a permit, which are most things in a house require a permit to be obtained from the county clerk's office so that they can do the work. The contractor, the plumber, the electrician, whoever it is, always have to pull permits in order to do work to a home. So when you pull your OPRA, right, you can say that, well, you still have an open permit for this. This permit is enclosed, and we'll get more into the permit situation as we get through this. So just to give you guys an idea of what this is all about, what this all pertains to, it's making sure that your sellers are giving you the facts, right? And you can check by going to the county clerk's office and getting an OPRA to see, okay, they did have this done. They did have this done. They did have this done, right? And it also shows a little bit of, your own due diligence when you're doing a listing presentation and you show up to someone's home and you have an OPRA to show them that they have open permits that they thought were closed, or, anything that could possibly delay, your closing or your transaction, right? So, OPRA request records, key property insights for real estate agents. Our permit history, which is what I was explaining. Understanding a property's permit history is essential for ensuring compliance, revealing both open and expired permits that may affect future transactions and renovations. Certificates of occupancy. Certificates of occupancy confirm a property's legal use, ensuring that it meets safety standards. This information is vital for agents to provide accurate listings. Ownership details. Ownership details clarify the current and past owners of a property, helping agents, sorry, helping agents claims and establish clear title, which is crucial during the transaction process. Okay, everyone understanding this so far? Does this all make sense?
Yep.
Good. So, the importance of an OPRA: catching issues early for success. Obtaining an OPRA request before listing helps identify potential problems early, ensuring smoother transactions and preventing delays that might arise from unresolved issues during the sale process. Here are the risks of skipping an OPRA. So, most agents, and I'll tell you this, most agents don't get an OPRA for their listings. Most agents skip over this step of getting an OPRA. And then a lot of times they come into these permit problems and situations that could have been avoided. Sometimes the sellers aren't just aware of there being open permits when they had someone do the work for them, right? They're not aware that they never closed that permit. They had an electrician come in and rewire their fuse box, and he opened a permit to do it, but he never closed it. So now that permit is still open, it's unresolved, which means there was no inspection done, things like that. So now it's a whole bunch of problems going on, right? So you can delay closings with unresolved permits can lead to unexpected delays in closing, frustrating all parties involved and potentially causing financial implications for the seller and buyer. Renegotiations. Discovering permit violations late in the process can force renegotiations, absolutely, which can damage relationships and create a stressful environment for everyone involved. Very, very true. Because now we have to go back to the table and talk about everything. Because who knows what those permits were pulled for, right? And this brings up, oh, well, you had this done to the house. This wasn't done to the house. You have this permit open. Now I have to deal with this. All these types of different things that now have to get renegotiated and figure out while you're deep into the process, right? So you want to get all that stuff out of the way. And seller frustration, probably be the biggest one. Sellers may experience significant frustration when issues arise unexpectedly, leading to stress and dissatisfaction during the selling process. And we want to keep our clients happy, whether sellers or buyers. But in this case, sellers would be the ones that are dealing mostly with the implications of not getting an OPRA. Okay. So, real life scenario, hidden permit issues. I want you guys to unmute yourselves and give me some examples of what would be some hidden permit issues that you think would arise in a home or could arise in a home.
Lawrence, I just had a situation on my closing last Tuesday. Please excuse my voice, first of all. I have a cold, so I apologize in
No
advance.
problem.
But I had a situation in which we were about 3 or 4 days from getting the CO. So in North Plainfield, because the home was a Queen Victorian home, it had to go before a board, so they had to send out the inspect. Well, we got the inspection first, and then once we got the inspection, then we had to get the CO. Lo and behold, when we tried to get the CO, there was a issue underneath the sink in the bathroom. It was a hole, maybe the size of a nickel, that was unaided. Come to find out, now I know what OPRA stands for. They had 5 different open permits
Wow.
regarding plumbing that were never closed out for over 7 months.
Wow.
So that's a situation that I can attest to, that this is definitely needed. Thank you.
Right.
Now I know what to look for to say before, because I delayed closing for almost another 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, those situations definitely do come up like that, and they're very unexpected, and you don't realize it until you get into getting a certificate of occupancy or any types of inspections. So it's good to get these things done while you're in the process of doing everything else. Get it done, pull it first. I think it costs like $15, $20 or something. Just go get it yourself and start from there. Who's got another one? Any other scenarios you can think of?
Hey, Lawrence, I can share something. So, this is not as a realtor. This is as a, seller of a,
Mm-hmm.
like I was moving from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania um, in beginning of 2024. So
Mm-hmm.
we had a house. I made a deck. I went to the, township to get the permit, and like we informed them. The critical part missing was, and it was a learning experience, was going back to the township and informing them that I have completed my work, like my contractor has completed the work, and they needed to come back and they inspect it. And I
Right.
missed that critical part. And when we were selling the house, um, that came as one of the items. And then we had to delay the,
Mm-hmm.
closing because of that. So I mean, it's not exactly like to what we are talking about, but again it happens that the sellers who do not, like most of the time, like new buyers or new sellers
Right.
do not understand that it, applying for the permit doesn't mean that you get the permit. You have to get it inspected and then you get the permit. So that's
Right,
one thing.
right. But you brought up an important piece of that, which is the sellers, right? Sellers aren't 100% aware of, like you just said, they are not aware of the going back and closing the permit for pulling something, even if they do it themselves, for example. So it's a piece of the puzzle that is just not lining up, right? Because they think, oh, I pulled the permit, that's it. I got a permit and I'm good to go, right? I should be fine. When in all actuality, you have to go back and let them know that you finished the work, they can close the permit, you're good to go,
Yeah.
right?
Uh,
So
Lawrence,
go
I have
ahead.
a question here.
Hmm.
So, for example, if we make any type of renovation in the basement and anything, right, through the contractor, so contractor is responsible to get the permit. So
Hmm.
I thought my thinking was they also, once they complete the work, they go to the office and they close that, okay, the
Yeah,
work is done. They do it,
that's
right?
true. Yes, that's true. But in some cases, they don't.
Okay, so as owner, we have to go and check it.
Yes.
Yeah. And
As a
Ishita,
seller and a homeowner, you should definitely get an OPRA for yourself so you can see any open permits that you have, and then close them so that if anything arises later on when you want to sell or anything like that, all your permits are closed, you're good to go. So it's something you can double check as a homeowner as well.
yeah,
Mm.
just a quick point, Lawrence. So sorry to interrupt. So Ishita, not all work needs permit. Like if
Right,
you are changing your floor in the basement, you're changing from hardwood to LVP and or to tiles. I don't think you need a permit for that. Anything related with safety, anything
right.
Mm.
related with electrical.
And again, I think Abhishek, it depends on town to town.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Hillsborough, even if you are changing, the basement tiles to hardwood, whatever, you
Oh,
just need
really?
the permit, or at least you have to let them know.
That's a news. I mean, I
I
wasn't
know
aware
because
of that.
they told me that they charge 33% of the tax. Say, for example, $1,000 for the basement. If you put a floor, they will charge you $330 per year as
Hmm.
per the tax. But you still have to let them know. It
Wow.
happened to me. That's why I'm telling you.
Oh,
Oh,
In
wow.
Well, there you go.
is
Oh
my
my
home
God.
own experience.
Yeah,
Yeah, Hillsborough Township has some weird nowadays started doing things.
right. Um,
So anybody has any other experience in
In fact,
Hillsborough?
I did my home in a basement without a permit because somebody told me that you don't have to put a ceiling. If you don't have a ceiling, you don't have to submit a, for permit. I did
mm-hmm.
it, but then when I became a realtor, I realized it is very, very important to submit. And then
Hmm.
somehow last year they gave some amnesty. During the time I applied, I didn't get any penalty for that.
Right.
That's during that time they told me, if you 33% for the floor, 33% for the wall, 33% for ceiling. So that's how they charge the tax.
If you don't have a
Right.
receipt for what we did,
What is that?
if we don't have like we get it done with a handyman, we don't have any receipt, how much
Oh
it
my God.
costed.
If they find out, if they come for something else, for some other thing, if they found out, they will
Mhm.
Yeah.
penalize a lot in Hillsborough.
Yeah.
You have
Then
to go
it's
to
a
the
lot.
court.
Right.
It happened to one of my neighbor.
Right. So yeah, so as you guys can hear from, this is a real thing, right? This is not something that's just we should play around with. This is something that's serious that we can benefit our sellers and even informing homeowners just about these things, about getting an OPRA for themselves to check on any open permits that they may have just to make sure that it's all closed. So this is another essentially another piece of value that you can give to a homeowner when you're speaking with them about, just their house and what they have going on and things like that. Hey, have you ever got an Oprah? Right? So there's a script here I'm going to run over with you guys too as well. So let's get back into this. Here are the benefits to the seller. It avoids surprises, right? As Abhishek identified, it was a surprise to him that that he still had that open permit, right? So we want to make sure that we're avoiding surprises and identify issues early to prevent surprises during the sale. We want to prepare the documents. You want to gather necessary paperwork in advance for a smoother process. So add this into your normal paperwork, what you're going to be gaining when you have a listing presentation or when you're working with a client or a seller. It increases confidence and empowers sellers by addressing concerns before listing their property. You can have a conversation with the seller about, hey, I pulled your OPRA and I noticed that you had all these, permits open and you should definitely get these closed. Imagine how much value this adds to you at a listing presentation that you did some work for them before you even, right? You can hand them something that's beneficial to them to say, hey, this is something that can help you out. This is something I notice. This is something that I do when I add to my business, right? And you take it from there. So, benefits of OPRA requests. Smoother reviews. OPRA ensures all documents are verified and accurate. Fewer objections. Issues are addressed early, reducing buyer concerns later, and faster closings because you don't have these surprises pop up in the middle of nowhere that cause you an extra 2 to 3 week delay. Because once you find out about the OPRA, then the township is going to give you a certificate of occupancy. They're going to have to go through their process. They're going to have to close the permits. Then they're going to have to re-inspect. They're going to have to do so many different things that it just takes, it just prolongs the situation. So we want to streamline the process to lead to quicker and more predictable closings. Okay. I see a hand up.
From the buyer perspective, right?
Mhm.
If the buyer like the home, are we allowed to request OPRA to the seller's agent? Like if they can provide us to inform the buyer,
No, you can pull one yourself.
or we have to pull one on ourselves?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
you can so the Oprah request is essentially like if I pull it and I'm representing the seller, that's only going to be for my client because I pulled it. If
Okay.
you want one and you want to check on the Oprah and check on the permits for the property for your buyer, then you can go pull one.
Where
Okay.
do we
So
do
Okay.
that,
And it's
Laurie?
online.
so so we're going to go in how to get one too. I'm going to show you exactly how to go about that as well. I'm going to tell you how to go about that. And we'll talk about that in a sec. So hang on for me.
You were
So
saying something. I cut you off.
no, you're okay. I'm gonna
Okay.
get into how to get an Oprah, how you find it, and all that stuff in a sec. Okay. So best timing, when to order your Oprah request. Um, Ideally submit your Oprah request before listing or immediately after signing the agreement. This allows ample time for document review and any necessary issue resolution. So there's a period before you list a property, right? When you sign the contract and you're waiting for staging, you're waiting for photography, your photographer is like a week out or something like that. You're still talking about the seller and they want to do a couple things in the house. During that period is when you pull an Oprah. That's when you do that. Right then and there. It's that little window of time you pull the Oprah then. That's what you're going to do. If you don't pull it before you do a listing presentation, but it should be based on properties that you're actually probably have a great chance of getting to list. It's also good for properties you don't think you're going to get a chance to list because it adds more value to you when you get there and you say, "Hey, I pulled an Oprah for you. I just wanted to show you what was going on in your property," right? So the best timing is before you list, would be before you list or immediately after you sign the agreement. So here's a script for you to use. So Here's a simple explanation for your clients. An OPRA request helps us gather public property records from the municipality so we can identify anything that could delay your sale later. That's it. That's it. That's all you're doing. That's the explanation for using this. We don't need any surprises. We don't want any delays. We want a smooth closing, and we want to make sure we can get a certificate of occupancy with no problem, right? We want to make sure we have all your, if there are any open permits, we have ample time to close them. We have everything in a row, right? So it lets your client know that you're super prepared to get this home sold, right? You are doing your due diligence on your own, on your time, to make sure that their property is not hitting any delays or any types of problems that could arise later on. So they trust you. It builds more trust. It builds more understanding. It builds more value. You become more valuable because they see that, wow, this person, this guy knows his stuff. This lady knows her stuff, right? Because they see that you're out there and you're doing stuff beside them. So it helps out and it makes everything work a lot better because you have this added value that you can now pass on to your clients. Does that make sense?
Hey, Lawrence,
Uh-huh.
I just want to make a mention of the fact that, last year they changed the OPRA process and they uh, said that if you have a financial interest in your request, they can take 2 to 4 weeks to get you the results. But if you're a homeowner, you can get them a lot quicker. So depending on the
Mm,
municipality, some of them turn them around pretty quickly. I also asked to find out if there's any issues with the taxes being paid. That goes to a different department, obviously, but you can do
mm-hmm,
all this on the same OPRA. For example, if the house is in list pendants, they'll let you know that if the taxes haven't been paid, it's a pre-foreclosure situation. So there's a lot more information than just open permits than you could derive, from an OPRA.
mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. See, Professor Jeff to the rescue. Thanks, Jeff. So
Yeah,
yes, being
I
with
have a question.
adding with the info that Jeff just gave us, now we know that it takes a little bit. Um, unless you allow your homeowner to pull it, which he said is a lot faster. Someone had a question?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. This is Ruby. Yeah, the question was, I have pulled up Oprah so many times, and it comes so weirdly. I cannot even understand what permit is in, what permit is out. It's very, especially the Hillsborough one. They just gave me the dates and some permit number and the year, and something said in, something said out. So nothing was pending, so I figured out there's nothing pending at least.
Hmm.
Have anybody seen that?
Jeff, you have any
Yeah, I
experience with
mean
the?
that all you really care about is permits that aren't closed out, and sometimes they make mistakes, so you have to follow up with them. Also, ask the homeowner if they have records. Sometimes homeowners keep meticulous records, sometimes they don't keep records at all. So, I always do it right away, because uh, you know, sometimes the homeowner may not give you accurate information. So you're going to hit a stumbling block, early if there is a problem, and you can start getting to work on that. So I usually do it right away, and that way I avoid problems. Now, I will say there's another quirky thing with OPRA, and that is some municipalities, you get into the rural areas, if you're in Warren County or Hunterdon County, they don't have their own municipal data on this.
Mhm.
They fall underneath the regional office of the State Department of Community Affairs. There's one up in Warren County. Sometimes you have to go through a circuitous route where you have to apply to the state to get the information. In this instance, what I do is I apply twice. I apply once in the beginning, they apply once and a week later. And depending on who's working that day, I'll get different batches of data from them that don't match up, which is very odd. So if you're working in like even like a Hopewell or some towns that are quirky, they have. I was talking to the dog catcher in Milford, and he said, "Oh yeah, I do the permits in my spare time." I'm like, "What?" So a lot of these small communities have like, they wear many hats, the people that work there. So
Mhm.
you have to work your way through each of the 536 municipalities in New Jersey handles it differently. So just be prepared. The smaller ones especially are going to be quirky. Anybody go to East Millstone, you walk in, there's an iPad there. You ask it a question, and no matter what question you ask it, it gives you the same answer. Call the mayor, and it gives you a phone number to call the mayor's cell phone. Honest to God, I was there once. I said I needed a form. He said, "Where are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm over here on Blakesley Street." He said, "I have some in the trunk of my car. I'll swing by and drop one off for you." The weirdest things in the world when you get to these municipalities. So just be prepared for some quirkiness if you get into some of the smaller ones.
So stay in the big towns. Got it. Duly noted.
The big towns are difficult too, I mean,
Yeah, very true.
I've had a
Very
lot of
true.
trouble with permits, as doing flips and stuff, I've had people tell me I needed permits for things that I know I didn't need permits for.
Mhm.
And I had to go and I had to go all the way to the mayor's office to complain about the fact that they were administering the law incorrectly and, caused a little bit of a stink. But if you know what the rule is, you're good. If you're replacing a bathroom, you're replacing a toilet and a sink and a tub, and you're putting them back exactly the way they were. You don't need a permit for that. But if you're moving the sink from one wall to the other wall, you need a permit for that. So a lot of times, this is what the problem I had. The plumbing inspector said I needed to pay $300 for a permit. I said, no, I don't. I said, you don't understand the law. And I went to the building official and he said, well, you have to follow his rules. And I went to the mayor and the mayor said, uh-oh. And before I got to my car in the parking lot, Jeff, big misunderstanding. Come on in. Your permits are ready. Believe me, if you know the law, you're going to be in much better shape because sometimes, they don't do things exactly the way they should. So the more knowledge you have, the better.
True. Where can we find some information about that type of stuff, Jeff?
Well, it's in the Department of Community
Mm.
Affairs rules and regulations, so it's quite detailed. But I mean, those of you who have worked with us in a while know what I mean. Like years ago, when you replaced a roof, you used to have to get a permit.
Right.
Now you don't need a permit for that. So it's just
Hmm.
sort
I
of
didn't know that.
it's just sort of understanding, where we are
Hmm.
with construction. Most contractors know these rules. So
Right.
I would say, try to rely on contractors. And again, each municipality is different. I found in Hillsborough the best way to find these guys is to go to Starbucks. They have their staff meetings at 11 o'clock on Thursday there. And you could call all week. They don't return your calls, but you can find them at Starbucks 11 o'clock on Thursday. So you'll learn the little peculiarities of each of these, municipal entities as get more experience with it.
That's hilarious. Awesome. Um, so, best practices for an OPRA, integrating OPRA into your workflow. Standard step in your listing preparation, include in your due diligence process, track request status regularly, and collaborate with sellers on findings. So, you want to start this process as early as you can. Make it part of your preparation when you're putting all your docs together for your listing presentation or your docs together for a seller to sign, included in your due diligence process when you're looking up tax records and checking on, all those types of things and making sure they're up to date on that. Track request status regularly because, as Jeff said, they can take some time. So you want to make sure that you're reaching out to them and you're someone mute themselves. Not sure who that is. I think it's Joel.
So quick question while that is happening.
Go ahead.
They, as I said, they only gave me like four things in a line, and it just said some codes, some dates, and some permit numbers. Um, can they just hand it over the actual permit? Can we request them specifically? Did somebody had that experience? What it was done, how it was done, and who did it? Like a contractor, if you need to know if that permit was done by certain contractor, so we
Well,
can.
I will say mostly they don't show that stuff. They just show the permit number and if it's opened or closed. They don't give you any real details about what the work was or what was done. It's literally just a number with a permit, open or closed or pending.
They
In that
used to
case,
give earlier.
I'm sorry.
They used to give it earlier.
Yeah, they must have, like as Jeff said, they've been changing
They
things when
change.
it comes
Hmm.
to,
Yeah.
the information and all that stuff. So I don't think it's something that they do anymore. I had the last Oprah I had was in December for in Branchburg. That was a holy crap, that was a mess. But luckily my seller, yeah,
Yeah.
luckily my seller, she had it already. She had her Oprah because I was going to pull it myself and I'm like letting her know what I was doing. She's like, "Oh, I already have one." I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. These people are just not trying to help me at all." But when I got it and she showed it to me, it was the same way. It wasn't like any details about the work. It was just a permit number and they all said closed. That was pretty much all you're going to get and the date that it was open and the date that it was closed. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much all you're really going to get. And that's frankly, that's a little bit of enough because, as long as you know that there's nothing open, nothing pending,
Open. Yeah.
that's all that matters. It's because, if you're looking to verify any work that they said they had done, then yes, there are permits pulled for certain things like that. But for the most part, you're just going to get the numbers.
Yeah.
What I found is that there's a lot of repairs that are done on an exigent basis. In other words, the let's say the hot water heater starts to leak, so you
Hmm.
call the plumber, they come out, they fix it. They're allowed to do that without a permit, but they have to apply for the permit, immediately and then get it inspected. So a lot
Hmm.
of times, the homeowner's satisfied, their hot water works, it's not leaking anymore. The plumber says, look, you need to take care of that. The homeowner doesn't want to spend the $50 for the permit, and then it sits for 5 years. And then you go to sell the house, and it's like, are there any open permits? No. But because they never got the permit to begin with, that they should have gotten. So, you're sometimes you're asking the wrong question. It's the question is, did you have any work done that required a permit that wasn't completed?
Right.
So just remember, sometimes it's in the way that you ask the question, the answer that you get is not maybe the answer you're looking for.
It's very true.
Laura,
Abhishek, you had a question?
Yeah,
Oh, Alfred.
Lawrence and Jeff, maybe if you, how do we know what work needs a permit, and is there some kind of code somewhere?
There is, but it's very complicated, and I would say, just rely on the town or the contractor. And the town may at times give you false information of what you need a permit for, but if you call the building department of your town and ask them, they'll usually tell you what you need a permit for and what you don't.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So it sounds like it would be specific to the work you need done. Just, let them know, hey, this guy said I needed a permit for this. Let me call and just double check and make sure. Okay, I don't need one
And
for that.
and just take a step back, like if they put in a shed or a fence, you may actually need to get a zoning permit and
Mm-hmm.
zoning approval as well. So there may be um, other issues, just beyond the building permit that need to be resolved before you can sell the house.
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence, I mean, as generic as could be, because this is a class that it is just giving us the basics. People have to understand, and Jeff probably will say something about that too as well. Is that in New Jersey there are 21 counties, I guess, and there are multiple townships. This class will never answer you
Yeah.
what the requirements are for each individual county, for each individual township.
Mm-hmm.
Just be aware that you need to just pull an OPRA, and after you pull the OPRA, then you will be able to handle the situation accordingly to what that township or county is. Do
Mm-hmm.
not generalize making the comments of what happened, because every single county and township is different, and unfortunately you're going to be faced with some situations that are not applicable to all the, the shoe doesn't fit everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
at this point, it's about getting the information. That one of the things that you need to go for is just go for the OPRA, and then from there you react accordingly to what is happening in that particular property or that particular town.
Right. Absolutely. Because, everyone's going to do something different. Everyone has a different process for this. You have to go there sometimes. Some townships have a website. You can just fill out the request form. It gets easier and it gets harder. It's one of those things that there's no streamline. New Jersey. We all come on, guys. We've been here enough. We know how this works here. Nothing's easy.
Yeah.
It's really
In
like
one.
536 fiefdoms. There's like
Right.
Yeah, that's true. The OPRA itself. The question is, OPRA is not that simple. When I did it last year for Montgomery, one of the properties, they said they never got to me back in a week. I keep calling them. Bottom line, they were saying we have to go to the septic department separately. If that is done, then it will come, then we will provide you. So there's different departments, like Jeff said,
Mm-hmm.
zoning, plumbing, construction. They go to each department,
Mm-hmm.
then they get the data, and then the actual OPRA department, which is giving the information, will give it.
Right.
So we actually don't know where the holdup is.
Right. Because they have
But you
to.
have to follow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
So,
very true.
and one more question I had, like, what exactly we need to ask in situations like, because I heard they only give, if you don't ask this, we are not going to provide you. It's like when you say, give me OPRA, it's nothing like what do you need in OPRA? She asked me.
You
That's where I
need
got confused.
right,
So,
right. So
so I said
the
anything open. Yeah.
yeah, so what you're pulling are open permits, any open permits. That's probably the one of the most important ones is the permit part of it. You can pull tax records and tax information to make sure that they don't have any liens or anything like that on the property. And then you can also pull like any like property details, basically, like if there was a survey done recently, if they have any new easement on the property, like stuff like that you can pull as well. But for the most part,
So
you're
we
just
have
going to
to
be using
mention
this
it
for
line by line, all
yes.
these items. Mhm.
But essentially, you're pulling permits, tax information. Those are like the two biggest things you really need.
Yeah, construction and tax.
Yes, construction and tax, pretty
Lawrence,
much.
Okay. Mhm.
Lawrence, another important item that it has benefited me when I just do this is be cordial. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Second, identify yourself with that officer that it is at the window, and
Mm-hmm.
say that you are a real estate agent, that it is potentially listing this house at whatever at 123 Main Street. And their mentality and their tone will change completely when you just approaching them in the right, with the right attitude and the right presence. So if you say
I
to them
agree.
who you are, you're going to get more information than what any particular person will get if they just go to the window and they don't identify themselves.
Very true. I agree with that statement. Plus, they know exactly what you're looking for. They have an idea because they've dealt with agents before. So they have an idea of the information you're looking for. It makes their lives a little bit easier to say, okay, you just need construction and tax stuff. Okay, cool. I can do that for you. No problem. And they start putting it together. It's still going to take a little bit of time for them to pull the information, but in the end, you'll still get the results you're looking for. So, what do we got? So this was the Oprah request guide, right? Like I said, some of them you have an online municipal website, right? Some of them you can just go online, go to their website, fill it out, and call it a day. You can email your request directly. You can visit the municipal clerk's office. You can check for official OPRA forms, have property details ready, follow up on responses. So this doesn't apply to every municipality, right? As Jeff pointed out to us, because they're all so different. The more rural ones, you're going to deal with actually going to some office. You don't even know if this is a municipal office or not. And you're going to go there and you're just going to ask to speak to someone about getting an OPRA, right? Some of them, like Montgomery, for example, you can go right on their website and you can fill out an OPRA request form and they'll email everything over to you. Once they get everything together, they just send it via email. You're good to go. You have some places that are just, like I said, way different that they don't do any of that stuff. You have to come back there. I've dealt with that too, where you go to that also happened in Branchburg, where they don't email anything. You have to physically go back there and pick it up yourself. So they don't
Yeah.
scan anything for you. They don't make life easy for you. That it is what it is. That's just how they do it. You come back, you pick it up, you leave. That's it is what it is. So keep in mind and speak to your county clerks if you can, if they have one, that you can see what their OPRA process is like before you attempt this. So you can see how long it's going to take, things like that. Everyone good?
Yep.
Okay. So, important caution, understanding the role of OPRA. OPRA is essential for gathering property information, but should not replace legal advice. So, always refer sellers to qualified attorneys for complex questions or issues. This can arise from anything from, hey, my contractor told me that they closed this and they have an issue with this. Well, you're not an attorney. You don't have, the expertise to really tell them, hey, you should go fight your contractor. You should go after your electrician. You should, you know, speak to your attorney about those types of problems. I'm just here to make you aware of what's going on. Try not to play devil's advocate in the situation and just be there as, more of a guide than anything. Makes the life smoother. You don't have any liability towards you for giving them information and everyone's happy, right? Right. So, final takeaway. Getting an OPRA gives you stronger transactions, fewer surprises, satisfied sellers, and stronger property knowledge, which are the key things that we all need in our transactions, especially these days. So it also adds value to you as an agent. It adds value to your listing presentation or to your seller presentation when you're sitting down going over the numbers and things like that with them and all that stuff. And it helps you in your due diligence period because you know exactly what's going on with the property. When you go later on down the line to get your certificate of occupancy, it's free and clear. There's no way there's going to be a holdup. There's no surprises. This transaction is free and clear to close. That's all I got. What do you guys think? Any questions, comments, concerns? No? Everyone's good?
I would just mention one other thing. Sometimes
Mhm.
you get into something, that you didn't expect to get into, like somebody finished their basement
Mhm.
and you have to, verify that all the electrical was installed correctly and you're punching holes in walls, or you don't have a railing going down the cellar stairs. You got to put a new railing on. I had one where the woman put a deck on her house and never put the proper pilings. They never put the right structure on it. She had to
Mhm.
tear the whole deck down and rebuild it. It was $20,000. So,
Wow.
when you get into some of this stuff, you say, "Oh, this deck was never inspected. It was never permitted, and it wasn't built right." In this one circumstance, we had about $30,000 worth of construction that had to be not done, but dismantled and then reconstructed correctly. So, the homeowner obviously very frustrated. And I mean, the deal could fall apart over something like this because a lot of people
Mhm.
don't have a spare 30,000 laying around, to do the deal. And you can't close unless it's fixed, unless the permit's cleared.
Mhm.
So it can kill a deal. So it's important, it has to do with safety and proper construction. And I don't know about you, but I run into a lot of people that have this cavalier attitude, like, oh, I'm doing this, but I'm not getting permits. And I just shake my head and I say, well, good luck to you, because down the road, you're going to probably regret, having that perspective, because it's going to come back to bite you in the end. So just remember, try to make sure everybody understands the importance of getting permits and getting things inspected, because we're probably not going to live in our homes forever, and then someday it's going to be an issue, and we're going to wish that we had done it differently.
I
Jeff,
agree.
Lawrence, and Jeff also put to that point, we are not permit experts. And people are going to ask you, do I need a permit for that or not? Do
Yeah.
not get yourself into that hole, because then you can be sued. You can lose your license for stupidity like that, just by just giving your opinion on something that you are completely not versed on.
Very true.
When
So
in
you want
doubt,
to
you call the construction department and they'll tell you.
Yep. So you want to definitely stay in your lane, but you also want to convey the importance of getting permits. Permits are extremely important to get because it keeps a code of safety and enforcement there. Without a permit, it's reckless. I can do whatever I want. I can go build a house right now. I've never built anything in my life.
Yeah.
I can go build a house right now without a permit. It's going to fall apart in a day. I already know that. But the fact is that I built it and it's not inspected. I go sell the house, whatever. Somebody dies in the house, falls on me, right? So with a permit, you have a township person that's there that knows what they're doing to say, you know what, Lawrence, you can't build a house. This looks terrible. You need to tear this whole thing down and hire somebody to come build it for you, right? So the importance of permits goes way beyond just the fact of or just the thing about, people think the townships just want money from them. It goes way beyond that. You have to pull a permit. They have to make sure that this home is safe for someone else to live. So that's what it falls into. So I digress. Anyone else have anything else to add before we get off of this thing? Ooh, I have something to add actually. 12 o'clock today, Lone Wolf training. Make sure you guys are all on that. The link has been sent out. You can use the link that I put in the chat. I'll also put it back in the chat again so that you guys can have that link right then ready for you. But make sure you are on today's training. It's very, very important. Also, make sure you jump on a few minutes early because sometimes the rooms hit a maximum. I've seen this happen a few times where I was not even allowed to get in a meeting because they hit their maximum amount of the people they can allow into one Zoom session. So you want to jump on a little bit early so that you can, get your spot, right?
Hey, Lawrence, did you say you put it in the chat, or are you sending it through WhatsApp?
No, in our WhatsApp. I'm sorry. I meant the WhatsApp chat. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in our WhatsApp chat. But yeah, make sure you're on today if you can. There are other upcoming trainings as well that she's gonna be doing. They're gonna be about an hour long. But I can say Lone Wolf isn't that bad. It's very similar to DocuSign. It's not a whole big difference to it, just a few nuances that are changed, where the documents are, how you pull them, how the rooms look, the style of it all, those types of things. But I will say it does have a few little insights that are in there that are like, that's pretty cool. That's something DocuSign doesn't do. So, they have their own caveats.
Hey, are the Keller Williams changing from DocuSign to that one?
Yes. It
That's
starts
why
in
we are doing the
July.
train. Okay. Yes. Thanks.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for coming on today. I definitely thank Professor Fesco for giving us his great insight on this important topic today. And I hope you guys got a lot of value out of it. So see you all around and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, John.
Thank
Jeff.
you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.